This photograph is impossible. And while it's not real, the art of creating it was. More than 30 years earlier, another artist had begun creating his own impossible worlds. M.C. Escher drew realities that could not exist. Jerry Uelsmann photographed realities that have never existed. And both of them have reminded me of something I think many of us have forgotten. Reality doesn't have to be the end of the image. Sometimes it's only where the image begins. Before we dive in, I just want to say welcome. For those of you returning, honored to always have you back. Thanks. First-time visitor here, special welcome to you. Around here, we're just exploring the ideas that some of the greatest artists of the past aren't really behind us at all. They're still walking with us, quietly, changing how we see the world. I first discovered Escher while I was in art school. I was studying illustration and anatomy, and I owned a t-shirt with this image on it, drawing hands. It inspired me to just want to draw more. More than 35 years later, I still find myself looking at it, not because I failed to understand it, but to me, because it just refuses to be completely understood. Around the same time in my life, I discovered Jerry Uelsmann, a photographer who seemed to be asking many of the same impossible questions with a camera. Looking at their work now, I found 3 ways that are changing the way I make photographs. In Relativity, perspective just doesn't create depth, it controls movement. Every staircase offers the eye somewhere to go, but no final destination. You keep leaving one part of the image, only to return back inside it. Uelsmann achieved something similar in his floating tree image. The tree appears to hover, while the reflection, or perhaps the suggestion of roots or another opening beneath it, keeps the eye moving between realities. Most of us ask when we're taking pictures, where to place the subject. Well, Escher made me ask a different question, is where does the eye go after it leaves the subject? In this photograph I took, the pole and the wires appear to pull us upward, away from the man. But then the welding rod in his hand brings us back. The line's not an exit from the photograph. It just becomes a return journey. Perhaps that's what a strong composition does. It lets the eye wander, but gives it a reason to come home. In Hand with the Reflecting Sphere, Escher's pretty much holding the whole world in one hand. We see the room, we see the artist, we see the hand holding the sphere. And somewhere in that reflection, we can almost feel where we, the viewer, are standing. Uelsmann takes that idea just a little bit further. His figure does not simply appear beside a reflection. She seems to encounter another version of herself. The photograph just gives us different realities of the same frame and refuses to answer which one's true. At first, this is just a photograph of a bee, and it is. But the longer I look, the less certain I become about where I was in the image. I'm behind the camera. I'm somewhere inside the reflection, and yet the bee seems to be looking right back at me. A reflection is not just merely a duplicate. To me, it's another point of view occupying the same frame. There's a pretty cool story that happened in the 1990s where Adobe actually approached Uelsmann to create an image using Photoshop. While he directed the digital composite, but he never touched the mouse. Then after it was all said and done, he returned to his darkroom and recreated the image by hand. Adobe honored the man who'd been doing what Photoshop could do for decades. And Uelsmann just quietly honored the darkroom right back. This photograph began with something completely ordinary, a pair of hands cleaning fish. But the light had other ideas for me. On the board below, the hand appears again as shadows. One pair touches the fish. The other seems to touch the image of the fish. And for a moment, I'm not sure which hands are doing the work. The real ones, the shadows, or the hands holding the camera creating it. As photographers, we decide what the viewer sees. We hold the camera with our hands, pointed exactly where we want it to go. And before we press the shutter, we decide what's in the frame and outside the frame. We create it. Somewhere along the way, many of us, myself included, started treating photography like a test. Sharp enough, clean enough, correct enough, serious enough. But in a way that this reminded me, I hope maybe it'll remind some of you too, that Escher and Uelsmann were not careless artists. They were masters of their craft. They just simply understood that mastery did not mean eliminate playing. Mastery just gives playing endless possibilities. To me, they're not surrealist as some people call them. In a way, they were. I prefer to call them realists of imaginary realms. They inspired me as a young artist, and now, more than 3 decades later, they continue to inspire me and remind me of why I started making images in the first place. And perhaps that's why I still love this image. It just shows imagination creating the thing that will one day create it in return. And maybe that's what happens every time we make a photograph. We shape the image, but slowly over time, perhaps it's the images shaping the way we see. So the next time you're out with a camera, don't worry so much about making the perfect photograph. Instead, see if you can find something that just surprises you, the impossible. Something that reminds you why you picked up a camera in the first place. And if that happens, love to hear about it. Until next time, create something real.